Yo, yo, what's up, my people? What's up, my people? Pole kwa kuwaweka. Sorry for keeping you. Sorry for keeping you, man. How's everyone doing today? Kila mtu ako aje? Long time no see, YouTube bana. Long time no see, long time no see. Long time no see. Proches Nolasco, maze. Joseph Gitau, Nefat Kahinga. Yeah. Guys, mnanipata? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let me see. Make sure my camera iko fiti. Mike Kims, Happy New Year. Oh, Happy New Year. Mike Kims. Oh. January almost imeisha. Mike Kims anasema Happy New Year. Shiro Mwangi, share the common questions. Proches Chennai. Timothy Magutu. Bro Timo from Joska. Always following you saa zote. Fresh. What's up with my camera? It is refusing to cooperate. Loud and clear, bro. Live from Qatar. Afiti Maraba Junior. Alex John de vipi mkubwa. Poa sana. How's everyone doing, maze? How's everyone doing? Sitko fiti. Yeah, the new year iko fresh. New year iko fresh. New year is good. Godfrey VPO and hope uko fine. Kuna kitu ulitaja jana live ya TikTok. Ati what changed kwa medical za DV? Oh, tuchanue bro. Okay. Tuchanue bro. Fresh man. Give me some likes. Share live man. Share live so that we can get more people. Alafu I was coming. I think tunaweza we can start with the questions and answers. But I also there's something I've been wanting to do. I think people asked me in terms of when watu wakikuja states, and maybe you guys can tell me kama mnataka niongea about hiyo. I can talk about like the top 10 coldest and top 10 hottest states in the US. So that way you know when you're coming weather-wise, what are some of those states to avoid, especially when it comes to the coldest ones, because those cold ones are really cold. And I have experience with my list. I think I've been in most of the hottest and coldest, if not all. I think I believe all of them. So niko na personal experience. Maybe you guys can let me know if mnataka niongea about the hottest and the coldest states in the US. But otherwise, we can start with immigration questions. And if you're actually going for, if you've been denied a visa recently, if you want to tell us about it, also if you want to talk about, if you have a testimony, if you went and your visa was approved and you want to tell us about it, man, let us know. Just want to talk about so that we can prepare. So immigration questions and answers. Alafu you guys will tell me kama mnataka I do that content on the 10 states, the coldest and the hottest. Yeah. Chris Kim, I like your channel because it's loud and clear. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, man. Thank you, Peter Miner. Sasa Braza, can you kindly advise me on I cannot even read that out loudly. Peter Miner, let me put that on the screen. You guy, my guy. Wait. we can talk about that, but I would not. Personally, I don't advise about that. But it's interesting because people watu wanafanya hivyo. It's interesting because people do that. But we can talk about that. Also, someone asked share the common questions. So yeah, ask your questions. Alafu mazee, let me know kama mnataka I do that content, yeah. The coldest na hottest states hapa in the US. Eh. SG ako tuned. Canado, happy new year. Ahmedin Abdullahi, hi, tuseme unataka kuona Statue of Liberty or the Niagara Falls. Does it require an invitation letter? Good question. Sema mzee wangu, let's say nimepata visa, naweza maze, keep the questions coming. Alafu man, share the live ndo tukianza at least. Now I know some people usually come a little bit later, so man, share the live, give me some likes, alafu ask the questions and we'll tackle them. We'll tackle the questions, maze. We'll tackle the questions. Are there many Kenyans? Good questions, maze. Good questions. Hey man, you guys have some questions over here. Can you do oh man, wow, yeah. A lot of good questions, maze. Kim Kahura, happy new year guy, happy new year, maze. Happy new year, Diana. Alafu maze, where are you guys watching me from? Where are you guys watching me from? Where are you guys watching me from? Alafu I will maybe give it a couple minutes, alafu we can start working on the questions, maze. We can start working on the questions. Here ya medical or DV. Okay. I will let you know on that as well. Watching from Eldoret. Dixon Methu Ministries. Kim Kahura from Kasa. Watching from Kirinyaga County. Michael Komiswa. Hey, all the best in this new year, Mr. Owen. All the best, man. All the best. Michael, are you in Uganda? Hey, Proches Nolasco from India. Welcome, Proches. Mary Njoroge watching from Dubai. Watching from Dubai. So keep asking your questions and then we'll start covering them. Mfangano Street. Tekla Wanjiro. I haven't seen your name in a minute, Tekla. Mambo Owen from Saudi. I have a quiz. Kuna mtu. It's a good question. I probably don't know, but maybe I can ask. Maybe somebody here knows. Watching from Juja, 254. Nekesa Ann from Qatar. Betty from Nairobi. Fiti. Let me see. I'm pulling that thing on the medical. Guys, like I told you, I have a DV lottery group, and they keep each other updated in there. I get in and answer questions, but if you've won DV 2024 and you don't have a group, I have a free group, man. Just send me a DM and I'll add you there. It's always good to go through the DV journey together with other people. There's always, whether there's like new information and stuff, it's always good to know that information, results, confirmation. No. Let me see. Mambo Owen, watching from Rwanda. Ahmedin from Rwanda. Hi, Shikokuria. Nefat, is it true? Wametoa interview. Oh, that question always comes up. Come on, Wametoa. Can you touch on B1 visa interview? Cisco fiti sana. Cisco fiti sana. Cisco fiti sana. Aya. Way. All right, you guys let me know whether we can, whether we can begin, and we can start. I have a few questions over here already, so let me know whether we can begin, officially. Otherwise, I just wanted to confirm again on the DV thing, just so that I make sure I'm giving you the right information. Uh, medical. Okay, I think it's here. All right, that's what I'm saying. Let's confirm. Send from my colleague to the embassy for the interview. That's why I like groups, man. There's always so much information that is shared. Always so much info that is shared. Where are you? Okay, let's okay. Here is. Uh, oh man, what's happening? From the letter? They're like, come at 70K, but I don't think we're gonna spend all that. Uh, that you just asked, Manny. Where are you? Godfrey. Godfrey asked, Owen, please, here your medical, kindly touch on it. So this is on the medicals happening in this year. Medicals happening on this year. I mean, first of all, they tell you come with 70K, but obviously it's not going to cost that much. It's not going to cost that much. Ah, so what has changed on the DV medical? It's to get your medical, to get the date that you're actually going to do your medical this year, is you have to book online. So this hasn't happened in the past. So now you have to book online, and then book online, like schedule your date, your preferred date when you want to go for the medical online. And then, so first of all, you write them an email. All right, write them an email to book, and then they'll give you a link. Write them an email, they give you a link. Once you get the link, you go online and you book your preferred date. Book your preferred date. That's not how it was in the previous year, so that has changed. This year, if in Kenya, if you want to go do your medical, so like when you get your 2NL, you have to write them an email. After you write them an email, they give you a link. Then after you get the link, that's when you book your appointment. So you're booking now. Now you're booking your appointment for your medical for the date that you want, which is different from what has been happening in the past. Yeah. Hopefully that answered that question on the medical DV. Yeah. Otherwise, let's let me know, guys. You guys are okay. Tayari. Touch on F2A, following from Nyeri. Group your DV. Oh, Maraba is asking group your DV lottery nitaingiaje. If you want to get into the DV lottery group, just DM me. DM me on, send me an email, the Kenyan American Home at gmail.com, or, with your case number, or send me a message on TikTok. Send me a message on TikTok. And then I can add you. I can add you to that group. Yeah, add you to that group. Otherwise, you can come to my Telegram group and DM me. directly, and then I'll once you give me your case number and I check it out, then I can add you to the group. But yeah, that's all about the medical. Is now you have to send them an email. They'll send you a link. After you get the link, book the appointment, and you're good to go. Book the appointment, and you're good to go. Let's go ahead and get started, man. Let's go ahead and get started. With the questions. All right. Let me look at the ones that I have starred. Start from the beginning. Shiromwangi. So Shiromwangi is saying, share the common questions. And man. So Shiro, what did you want me to concentrate on a particular visa? I know I someone asked about the B1, so, and I think a lot of people when they apply for visas to come to the US, they do B1, B1, B2. So I think maybe I'll concentrate on B1 because they ask different questions for, like a student, or if you're going, for the DV lottery or so many or those other things. But I can concentrate on B1 unless maybe Shiro, you wanted something different. Let me see. Shiro. Sure. Did you want something different or B1, B2 visitor visa? Is that what you wanted? I think I would assume that's what you're referring to. But all right. I can go ahead and cover some of the common questions. So when you go to the embassy with your B1, B2, the B1, B2 visa is it's B1, which is business. So that means if you're going on B1, if you're going on a business, so like maybe you're going to visit business colleagues, or B1, you're going for a conference. Conference is under the B1 business. B1, if you're going to meet people who maybe you do business with, you're in business with, and you're going to have meetings in the US. Then that falls under the B1 visa. And then the B2 is what is called tourism. It's called a tourist visa, which is it involves things like you're going to a conference, you're going to a graduation, you're going to sightsee tourism. So yeah, but they always combine those together and call them B1 B2 visa. So that's B1 B2 visa in total. They call it, that's the visitor visa. So when you apply for the visitor visa, and I have instructions here on my YouTube channel on how you need to fill a DS-160. After you fill the DS-160, then pay. After you pay the fee, $185. Then you schedule your interview, and I have videos. If you go to the playlist that has the US visitor visa, the first video is how to answer your DS-160 step by step. The second video is how to schedule your appointment, reschedule your appointment, and so on. And then the other videos are how to answer questions and stuff like that. But so let's say you've completed your B1, B2, you're going to the interview, and now it's questions. So obviously one of the most common question that they'll ask you is, what is the purpose? Why are you going? Why do you want to go to the US? What's the purpose of your visit to the US? That's like the most common question one that they'll ask you. And that the first question is usually the question you want to attack the most. That's the question you want to tackle the best. Make sure you answer the first question completely, because a lot of times, so people say, oh, they've predetermined whether they're giving you this visa before you even come to the window. But in actual sense, I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe that because they don't have time. That is what people don't understand. If you've ever gone to the embassy, like the Nairobi embassy or whatever, there's always lines of people lining up to do interviews. Like every single second is accounted for by someone going for an interview. Because not only are they scheduling visitor visas, they're scheduling students, they're scheduling people who are bringing families, they're scheduling DV lottery. They have so many people. So not just the people who are going for visitor, they have so many people who every single day are going to the embassy. And so like every minute is accounted for. These people barely have, breaks. And so they don't have time to look at your case before you get to the window. A lot of times what they do is they're looking at your case before you come to the window. And because these are trained professionals, they've done training, they've done shadowing, they've watched videos, they've learned. There's like all these, like, what kind of questions do you ask? How do you read this? How do you read this, the body languages, all these things? They've been taught behaviors. How can you tell somebody whether someone is telling the truth or they're lying? Yeah, things like, look for some small things. And a lot of times, before we get to the questions, is what you feel in the DS-160 is what they use to interview you. But they have not sat down and looked at your DS-160 before you arrive. Okay? The day you arrive, when you arrive and you give your confirmation number, that's when they pull your DS. You pull your DS-160 and they're looking at it. And these people are trained professionals. They'll quickly look, ask you questions, and make quick decisions. That's what they're taught. They're taught to make quick decisions on the fly. Read. Yeah. Is this person telling the truth? Yeah. Have you met the qualifications? Blah. And then, yeah. So what you answer in your DS-160 will go a long way to granting you or denying you a visa. Obviously, there are some things before the interview that will be flagged. What are some of those things? Because you put in your passport numbers and all these other numbers when you're filling in your DS-160. If you've ever been banned from the US, if you've been deported, if you probably, if you have a record, if you're inadmissible, that will flag you. Okay? I want to say this because this is important. That will flag you. If you are inadmissible to come to the US, that means you are either, maybe you were deported or you were banned, or maybe you have a criminal record and stuff like that. Please make sure when you go for an interview and they give you the slip, the pink slip, look at the code that they give you. Okay? I always mention, I've done a video on the denial codes. Please make sure that you're looking at the denial codes. When they give you that pink slip or whatever slip they give you that is you've been denied, sometimes it's white, sometimes it's pink, make sure you're looking at the code. So the most common, the ones that if you're given, that means you did not satisfy what the requirements of the visa, is the 214B. The 214B they'll give you because you have not met the requirements. Is something you said that it just, maybe you didn't have enough ties, or maybe you're not making enough to support yourself, or you were inconsistent. It's the way you interview. A lot of times, if you did not meet the qualification, they'll give you the 214B. That's the most common one. They're giving that, and that one is not a problem. A lot of people get denied visas. A lot of people who come to the US, especially from Africa, they get denied visas at least one time. A lot of people. Most people have come here on their second interview, third interview, fourth interview. Some people have even done multiple, double-digit interviews, and they still get it. Maybe the person I know that has done so many, he got it on his 19th time. 18 denials, 19th time he got his visa. Now, I would not recommend someone to do that, because you can imagine how much 18, man, that's a lot of money. And that was the day it used to be our 160. It used to be, how much is that actually? I would not advise anybody about to keep going. It's like insanity, is keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. Because so if you've gone 18 times, well, that's 19 actually, because he got it on his 19th time. 19 times. And it was like 160. Man, that's $3,000. $3,000 is not cheap money. Yes, finally he made it. $3,000 when you come to the US is not too much money, but $3,000 when you're still in Kenya is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. That's like what, 400, 500, 400,000 or so at the rate that we're in today. So I don't, and I've talked previously about, denials, what to do after you get denied and stuff like that. But make sure you look at the denial pink slip that you're given. If it's 214B, that's fine. That means you just were not able to meet the requirements. If you're given a 221G, 221G, what I tell you is 221G is administrative processing. You either have to provide something, or maybe the visa officer, it just was not able to make a decision at the time you were at the window. And he needs to look more into your case, maybe just dig deeper or something like that, just to make sure, verify your data. There's a gap that there's something about your case that he's just not sure. And so 221G is usually a yellow slip. It's like a yellow card. It doesn't mean that you've been given, because sometimes they go do whatever they're going to do behind the tent, and then they tell you your visa has been approved, or your visa has been denied. So it's like a 50-50 shot. If you get a 221G, doesn't necessarily, you've been denied that day, but doesn't necessarily mean that you've been denied forever. They could go look at your case again and change their minds. And then there is the 212. If you get the 212, and there's so many codes under 212, that means you are inadmissible. There's something that is making you inadmissible. Maybe you were deported. Maybe when you were here, you became a public charge. There's just, you broke immigration laws. There's something, maybe you have a sickness, some sickness and stuff. If you are given a 212, that is when you need, before you apply, because you can apply as many times as possible, but they will never give you a visa. You are inadmissible. If you are banned, if you are deported, you need to get a waiver. And that's mostly going through a lawyer. Get a waiver that will then make you admissible again. But you'll keep wasting your money going to the interviews, and then you keep getting denied, and you're wondering why. Why? Is because you're not looking at the slip they're giving you. They're not looking at the slip they're giving you. So those are some. So in actual sense, going back to the questions they ask you on your B1, B2 visa, your visitor visa, are things that you responded in the DS-160. And that is why I discourage people, don't use agents. Do it yourself. And I've empowered you to do it yourself on my YouTube channel. This channel has the information. I've given you a step-by-step, explain to you line by line. How do you feel this? How do you feel this? And how do you feel that? Do it yourself. One of the good advantages about doing it yourself is you will recall what you did. What you put, you will remember. Again, also, I tell people, when you go fill your DS-160, make sure you print out a copy. After you finish your DS-160, you come to the end before you submit. They give you the option. To print, or I think it's after you submit, they give you the option to print your DS-160, to print your confirmation page. Make sure you print a copy of your DS-160, because that will help you prepare for the interview. Look at your DS-160. Make sure you've memorized it in and out, because when you go to the embassy, the questions that will probably come, they will come from your DS-160. That is your marking scheme. That is what will deny you or give you the visa. Sometimes we focus too much on documents and details and bank statements and invitation letters and things and stuff and supporting documents, but that's not the case. So many people get issued visas without even being asked their bank statement. You can carry bank statement with wheelbarrows to to the embassy, and sometimes they will not even look at how many people, and you've gone to the embassy, they did not even look at one single document. Why? Have you ever asked a question, why have they never looked at? It's like they didn't even look at me. They didn't even ask me for anything. And I came prepared with all these files and cabinets of documents. Why didn't they not ask me? It's because they're looking at your DS-160 and they want to ask you questions. And part of the thing is they want to verify what you wrote versus what you're saying is the same. If you say something that is not written, that you did not, then you are inconsistent. Inconsistent equals lies. You are lying. You're not being truthful about you're not being truthful about your application. So study your DS-160. Alafu, let's get to the questions. Most common question they'll ask you is why? What is the purpose? Which is and that is one of the questions in the DS-160. They'll ask you, what is the purpose of your trip? And that's, you go to the embassy, they ask you, what is the purpose of your trip? Now, if you know already, if you filled it for yourself and somebody else did not feel, because what happens if a lot of times if an agent does it for you, a lot of these agents don't print the copy, they don't tell you, and they are maybe working with so many clients, they will not, and they just tell you you're going for a conference. And then you end up to the embassy and they ask you very particular questions about that conference. Alafu, you get denied. Why? That's why you need to be involved in the process to know. And they ask you, what is the purpose? Why do you want to go to the US? Why? That is a question you need to attack. If they ever ask you that question, whatever visa you have, whatever non-immigrant visa you have, if they ask you whether it's a student with an F1 or M1, whatever, what is the purpose? Why do you want to go to the US? That is the question you attack. And if you attack that question well and you respond, so that question should be complete. How should it be complete? You should say why you're going, number one. Don't be vague. Don't just say, I'm going to a conference if you're going to a conference. Be specific. I'm going to this and this and that. Make it a complete sentence and statement. Sometimes I know it's a lot of times they will wait for you to finish your first question, responding to your first question. If you did not, if like they just you totally you like flanked on your first question, sometimes they'll ask you other so many questions and they don't even give you time to respond because they've already decided in their mind this person doesn't have any intentions to come back to their home country or blah. So the first question, very important question, you answer that question well, satisfactorily, and it will set you up. So make sure that question you can include ties. Why are you going? You can mention the conference, that particular conference. Mention, why are you going to that conference? What's the passion behind you going to that? How does that conference connect with your life here back home? It's so connecting that conference, that thing to back home. Very good. So when you do that, you're trying to prove a tie reason for you to come back. Because remember, some of the criteria you're supposed to meet the criteria of it's a non-immigrant visa. You have the intention of coming back to your home country. You can be able to support yourself. You can be able to afford the cost of the visa. Like, however, whether you're supporting yourself or someone is supporting you, you will be able to bear the cost of that visa. But also making sure that you have enough ties and you have the intention of coming back home. Yeah. You have enough ties that they'll say, oh, this person doesn't just want to go and stay in the US. This person will come back. And that's why when they ask you that question on the purpose, make sure you answer it completely. Mention whatever you're doing, tie it back to, how does that tie to your life? And then So if it's a conference, you can tie it to your job, you can tie it to a passion you have, you can tie it to your community. And then it's like whether you're going to the US to get the resources, to get equipment, to get whatever technology and blah, 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 to bring it back home, to do something with it. That's a complete answer, because you're tying it back to your intention. Again, my intention. I have to come back. Maybe it's a job. You're going for tourism. Some people have said, hey, one of the most common ones is, like someone mentioned the Statue of Liberty. So you're going there, but I have to come back. There's a job waiting for me. I have to come back. There's a family waiting for me. I have to come. That when you answer that question, make sure you just tie it back to coming back. Okay. Hopefully yeah. And then sometimes they might ask you, why now? Why are you going to do it now? Why are you going to visit your aunt now? Why no other times? Why now? Why don't you want to go in the summer? Why do you want to go in the winter? Why? You have to have space. You have to, so that this and so you have to be quick on your feet with some of these questions, because they come boom, 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 boom. And that's why you need to know your story, because when you know your story, you're quick on your feet. Aya, how long are you going to visit? How long are you going to stay in the US? Boom, boom. Again, if you did not fill the DS-160, this question, you will answer it very differently from the way you fill the DS-160. But if you were involved in doing that, then okay, I know I've said in the DS-160, I'm going for 2 weeks, or I'm going for a month, or I'm going for however long. And you respond consistently, it's points for you. Either way, points for you. All right. So how long are you going to the States? Where are you going in the States? Another question. People have been denied visas because you're going to visit your uncle in the US, and then your uncle has sometimes you have all the details. Your uncle sent you the invitation letter, and the invitation letter has all the details on the address. And then the consular officer asks you, where are you going? What city? What's the address of your uncle? Huh? And then when you start hearing crickets in your mind, my friend, denial. You'll be denied. Why? Because you're not prepared for the interview. These are so you need to be prepared. Know your story. Be quick on your feet. Respond. Look at them confident. But your confidence will vamos if you're not prepared for your interview. If you haven't rehearsed, it's good, man. It's good. Find somebody that you can ask. You can rehearse some of these things. You can prepare, so that when they ask you some of these things, you're like quick on your feet. Hey, what state does your uncle live? Tururu. The mobile subscriber cannot be reached. What is the address of your What is the address of your aunt? Tururu. The mobile subscriber cannot be reached. Yeah. When? Where? Yeah. It's like, oh, so you're going to visit when did you last see your aunt? So all these things, man, that's why you need to be, because also too, there is the aspect of intimidation. If you've never been to the US Embassy, let me tell you this for free. There is a way the US Embassy is. There's a temperature they put. And it is usually a chilly temperature. The minute you pass through security and you go in the waiting area, there is an environment there, and people who've been there will tell you. It is like waiting in a hospital bed for the doctor to see you. The doctor might it is like waiting in the hospital bed without knowing whether the doctor is going to go and diagnose you as healthy or tell you, my friend, no, you can't make it. You can't make it to come to the United States of America. So there's an environment there. But also, and I'll come back to the questions. I think I like to answer questions wholeheartedly. I try and I like think 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 what do you call 360? You are thinking 360. And when you're on 360, and I know, like, for me personally, I grew up in Kenya. Man, life in Kenya has taught me. Let me tell you, my people, if you've grown up in Kenya, you have everything you need to get that visa. Everything. Because for you to survive life in Africa, yeah, man, you need to be, yeah, you need to be chap chap. That's the same way you need to be chap chap in there at the embassy. It's like this. The answers need to be here. Boo boo boo. And confidence. So yeah, there's a temperature. There is a temperature at the US embassy inside when you get in. This is for the people who haven't been there. There's a temperature. And I think they put that temperature for a reason. And then there is also what is happening. So if you are like my fellow Kenyans, they love tea. My fellow Kenyans, they love tea. What is tea? Is my fellow Kenyans love to see what is happening in other people's lives and know what is happening in other people's lives. And so, which is the other thing I can tell you, man, we went there to get the visa. You did not go there for tea. Because some people forget. You went there with a mission. Now, because as a typical Kenyan, you like tea. Now you start consuming tea at the US embassy. What is consuming tea? Consuming tea at the US embassy is starting to look at how other people, that one has been given pink slip. Another one has been denied. Look at that one crying over there. That one is the only one that's been given. Oh my gosh. The last, and you're like, so you're consuming tea. My friend, what is happening is you're letting the enemy come in and distract you from why you're there. You will consume tea after you leave the embassy. You went there for a reason. There's a reason you paid $185 to go to the embassy. Now you've become the tea master. Oh, you're the one even telling people, did you see that one has been denied? That one has been denied. That one has been denied. Nobody has been given before me. So by the time you go to the counter, my friend, what do you think is going to be your temperature? Your temperature is going to be, they've denied the first, they've denied the last 10 people in front of me. They'll also deny me. Why? Because of tea. Fellow Kenyans. This is for my fellow Kenyans. Please, 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 please concentrate. You went there to get the visa, not to consume tea. You consume tea, you start to forget what your questions, you start to forget your purpose. And so by the time they call you, you're panicking. Because now you are afraid because so many people have been denied. So you're like, there's no need to try. That is the state of your mind. And you know why? Because you've let the enemy come in and confuse you. I promise you, so many people are that way. So many people who go to the embassy, they end up getting so focused on other people's affairs, they are not minding their own business. Mind your business, man. Mind your business. In fact, ignore what is happening. Because if you don't, the time you're waiting, man, you'll be going through your DS-160 if you have it printed, if you have it with you. Be looking at your documents. Be looking at your documents. Oh, Doramo, you're going, watching from Kenya as I wait to travel New York. Here I come. But my friend, that's the so there's that tea, consuming tea, but also there is the other aspect of, and a lot of people fall into this. Not every day you talk one-on-one with an American. In fact, some of the people, it's the first time they've ever talked to a Mzungu one-on-one. So now you can imagine the environment. You're consuming tea, you're panicked, alafu boom, you're looking at somebody with blue eyes or green eyes for the first time in your life. Yeah? You're looking at somebody with green eyes for the first time in your life. And you realize, oh my God, this is happening. It's real. It's real. It's happening. Man, I think some of these things we ignore, but they are very important. Because if it is the first time you're actually talking to a Mzungu, because some people have never had that opportunity. Not everybody has like interacted with a Mzungu face to face. And so if that's the first time you have, man, there's some of it, yeah, because then their accent, there might be different accents since they have lived in Kenya now for a while. But their accents they'll throw you off. But then their appearance will throw you off. Because yeah, man, if you've never seen somebody with blue eyes and you're looking into blue eyes, yeah, you will get swallowed in the ocean blue. So I'm married to a Mzungu, and I know, like, my wife's eyes are blue. And it's different looking at somebody with blue eyes. Yeah? For the first time, you're looking at somebody with blue eyes or hazy, they call them hazel eyes. Hazel eyes are green eyes. You know? It's like, yeah, the closest probably you've looked at is a cat with green eyes. It's like, oh my God, this person has green eyes. And they're talking to me in this deep English. And you know the way English came by ship. Oh, my friend, if you are nervous about if you are nervous about your interview, you forget everything. Forget everything. Alafu kwanza, the worst thing is now you've decided to go. You've decided decided to go to the embassy with what do you call it? Choking your neck with a tie. I say sometimes you can choke yourself and choke the vowels out so that now the English disappears. You're speaking English without a, e, or u. And my friend, you're done. So we stopped at I think I wanted to highlight that because that's very important. It's very important for people. If you've never been to the embassy, be prepared, man. Yeah, you'll most likely see a Mzungu. And a Mzungu will interview you. And it's very different if you've never been interviewed by a Mzungu. So be prepared. Be prepared, man, with your English. Be prepared with your English, man. It doesn't matter, by the way. Your accent is fine. Don't worry about your accent. It is not about your accent. As long as you can communicate, that's all that matters. It's all that matters. Yeah. So don't worry too much about the accent. Yeah. At yo sijui I have a very thick accent. Don't worry about those things. Just worry about communicating well. Worry about communicating well because that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing. Let me adjust my thing before I go to the next question there. Before I go to the next question. Yeah. So uh so we talked about where in the I think how long you'll stay. Talked about the place, like where are you going? You know, who are you going to see? Where are you going? Which is you need to know the address of whoever is hosting you. If they're hosting you, you need to know the address of the person who's hosting you, which is very important to do that. You know, and then the other thing they might ask you is so from the address, what place, where, what place, what city, what state, what address. US addresses are very specific, by the way. For those of you who do not know, I can maybe explain them to you. The way US addresses work is here. Sorry, let me do this, and then I'll be able to concentrate more. Let me fix my today my camera is doing is doing the thing. It's doing the thing. Let me fix my camera. It's doing the thing, and then I'll talk about the US address. Talk about the US address. Man, give me some likes, man. Give me some likes. Those likes are not even moving. Make sure you share. Make sure you share this with somebody that you know will benefit. It's always good. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring, man. Uh, sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. Aye. Ora. Pull up, my people. Pull up. I think we're good now. We are. Yeah, we're good. We're good now. Okay. Aye. So after that is, you know, they talk about, so how are you going to, you know, how are you covering your trip cost? Because that's very important. That's one of the things that you need to make sure is you need to show how you're covering your cost, the cost of your trip. It's very important, you know, is and a lot by this time, the more questions they ask you, sometimes it should communicate something to you, because if you answer questions really well consistently with the way you filled your DS-160, you don't have to answer so many questions. But if they keep asking you all these questions and it gets to a point where they ask you for your bank statement, that's not usually a very good indication about how your interview is going. So that's why I said that first question they ask you on the purpose of your trip, make sure you run with it. Like, make sure you run with that question. Run with that question. Answer it. Make it a complete question. Make it a complete answer. Okay. So yeah. So they've asked you who, you know, where are you going in the US? And then how long, how long is your stay? Is there, your address? Oh yeah, I was talking about the US address. The US address is very specific for those of you that don't know. If they ask you for the US address, and if you don't know, because the way we do addresses in Kenya is very different than the way we do addresses here in the US. So the way the address is if so, and you'll know whether somebody is renting an apartment or somebody is living in a house. How will you know that? You will know that by the way their address looks like. The way the address looks like is the first thing is the number of the house. So like if I live in a house, like my house, it'll have a number, whether it's like 2041. 2041 is the house number, and the way the houses are here in the US is they are labeled, on one side is even numbers and on the other side is odd numbers. As also that's a way, if you're ever lost looking for houses or looking for addresses here in the US, just make sure, like, one side of the street will be odd numbers, the other side of the street will be even numbers. Okay, so that's kind of how they do the houses. So the first thing in the address will be the number of the house. Number of the house. If they live in an apartment, it's the number of the complex. Okay, the number of the apartment complex will be the first thing, and then the next thing will be the street that they live in. The street that they live in. All right. So let's say I live in 2021 Colorado Avenue. Okay, Colorado Avenue is whether it's a boulevard, the street, the avenue, whatever you want to call it. It's a circle. There's so many. Yeah, there's so many. So yeah, so that it's really the street. What street is? And so if you go to go to that place, you look at the street. This house is on this street. So this house is this number. And then the next thing, this house is located in this particular street. So if Colorado Avenue passes across passes where I live and this house is there, it'll be that particular street. And then the other thing they give you is the other thing they give you is they give you the city. All right. Oh, before that, if they live in an apartment, and you're filling the address, there's always this thing that's asking you what's the apartment or suite number. If you see somebody with a suite number, that means they're either in an apartment complex, or maybe it's an office that, a building with so many offices. It'll have a suite number, or it'll have a apartment number. So like the apartment complex is the apartment with all the apartments, which is the first number. And then the apartment number is that particular apartment. But a house will not have apartment numbers or suite numbers. The house will just have the house number. Okay. And then they'll have the city. The city is wherever that particular city, that house is located. So let's say somebody lives in Seattle. Seattle will be the city. And then there'll be a zip code. A zip code is that's the way the US is it's mostly divided by zip codes. That's how the US that's how the post office is. That's how they've kind of mapped out the US. It's broken out in zip codes. One particular zip code represents an area. So if somebody lives in 2021 Colorado Avenue, remember the street number, and then the next thing will be whether it's an apartment, it'll have the apartment number, or if it's a house, it won't have anything else. And then there'll be the city. City, maybe they live in Seattle, they live in Kent, they live in Dallas, they live in Houston, they live in Birmingham, they live in whatever street that is. And then the next thing is the state. So it's in Kent or Seattle, and then the state is Washington. It's in Dallas, and then the state is Texas. It's in, where? Uh, why am I blanking? It's in Houston, Texas, or it's in Kansas, Missouri, or it's in Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas. So it'll have the state, and then the zip code, whatever zip code. So that's the address. So if you see it, you'll know it. So if they ask you what's the address you're going to, you just read them the whole thing. Yeah. If they ask you for the address, just read them the whole thing. They ask for the city, you'll see the city. The city is just before the state. So city, state, and then the zip code. City, state, zip code. Yeah. All right. So that's like where the place the place you're going to stay. And then sometimes they might ask you, for people who are joining us, sometimes they might ask you, like, how do I want to, yeah, like, how much is your trip going to cost? They might ask you that question. How much is your trip going to cost? Or who is covering for your trip? So in that instance, that's why I was saying you need to be on toes with some of these questions they ask you. You need to be on toes. If they ask you what's the cost, you've already you have an estimate. It's gonna cost me this much, tell them. It's gonna cost me this much, tell them. Have you reserved a flight? You can tell them yes or no. But again, all these questions are coming from the DS-160. You've answered these questions in the DS-160. You've put the address you're going to in the DS-160. So when they ask you, where are you going? And you give them a different address than is what is on the DS-160, you're inconsistent. That is false information. That obviously there's some deception, there's some lies there. You'll get denied. Some people have been asked. That's why when they ask you, okay, I'm going to visit my uncle. Yeah. And when's the last time you saw your uncle? And you answer, okay, what city? What city does your uncle live in? And then it's like Tururu. Tururu means you have not, just go find out and then come back when you know what you're going to do in the US. They will not give you. Some people have been denied because they and they were holding the invite. The invitation letter usually has the address. Whenever somebody sends you an invitation letter, most of the time it has the address there. And a lot of these people, I think personally, I know like 3 or 4 people that were denied because they did not know the address, they did not know the city or the state, which is really crazy. And the funny thing is they were holding the invitation letter with them then. And then but they have no idea. But if you don't know, you don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. But then again, you've responded to all these things. The cost you've already said, whether it's you who's bearing the cost or whether it's or someone else who's sponsoring you. All these things you've already answered. So they're pretty much just it's a marking scheme. They're looking and they're asking you a question, and then they're waiting for you to give the answer that you already give. Yeah, they might ask you if you've reserved a flight. Have you ever been to the US again? Is this your first time in the US? And again, all these answers are there. What do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? Again, another question that goes hand in hand. If you look at the DS 160, you will give your work history. Yeah, you will give your work history. That's why if someone else feels for you and doesn't say what they said you do, and you go, maybe you're a hairdresser, and somebody said, like the agent said in the thing, this person is a nurse. Now, you saying you're a hairdresser, hairdressing and nursing are like two different zip codes and WhatsApp groups. So just again, these are questions that go hand in hand with the DS 160. We're covering, for those people who are just coming in, we're covering the questions that they ask you, most common questions they'll ask you in a B1, B2 interview, B1, B2 interview. And then so yeah, what do you do for a living? You tell them you've obviously given your work history there, all the things that you've done, how much money you make, and then they ask you this question: what is your annual income? Yeah, these seem like trick questions, but it's like you gave them the marking scheme, and you said, "Excuse me, sir, here is the exam I've set for myself. Ask me this same exam." Now you go, you said you make 200, you said you make what, 50? No, you said you make 50,000 Kenya shillings a month in your DS 160. And now you show up in the embassy with this fake bank statements that you've gotten from River Road or wherever you got them from. And then you stay, they ask you, what is your annual income? And then what is your, annual income or monthly income, depending on how you answer that question. Because you can always choose whether it's monthly, you want to give monthly, weekly, or and they ask you, what's your monthly income? And then you're like, oh yeah, I make 250,000 Kenya shillings a month. And then they're looking at your DS 160 and you said you make 50,000. There's no way you're getting that visa. No way you're getting that visa. Consistency, man. And you, as you've seen, all these questions have a bearing on your DS 160. There's something you filled in your DS 160. Yeah. Sometimes they might ask you, do you have property? Do you have property? What kind of property do you have? Uh if you're going and you have a business, who will look after your business? Who will look after your home when you're gone? Yeah. How many kids do you have? How many kids do you have? How many kids do you have? And what have you? I think, man, that question, I have answered that question completely, comprehensively. I think, yeah, yeah, All right, that was one question. Man, I'm not encouraged about answering all these other questions. Okay, share common questions. I think we tackled that one and we tackled it completely. Peter Miner, Sasa Braza, Can you kindly advise on manufacturing? Hey, I even read out that loud. Manufacturing a bank statement edited with PDF. Where, yeah, first of all, Peter, you cannot say that out loud. You can't say that out loud about that. And second of all, I would not recommend about manufacturing. Don't be truthful. Be truthful, man. Be truthful. I tell you answer these questions honestly, and a lot of times they'll look at your honesty and give you the visa. Yeah, it's not always about. People always ask this question: how much money do you need to go to the US? But that's the wrong question, because you have to go through the embassy, and sometimes the embassy doesn't even care very much about how much money you're making versus kind of meeting the requirements. If because you could be making very less money, but then you have somebody else who's financing your trip. And as long as you're consistent and you're honest and you answer your questions well when you're asked, you'll be given a visa. People have been given visas because, hey, I won a work trip. There was a raffle. I won a work trip to go to the US. And so my employer is paying for my trip. Then I don't necessarily need to have a huge bank account. Yeah, all I need is I get the affidavit of support from my employer saying, hey, I'm gonna take care of him and I'm gonna take care of him or her on all the expenses that they have. And so it's really not about that. The question is not how much you need, but it's ultimately make sure you have your story is consistent, you're truthful. And so when it comes to manufacturing statements, man, don't do that. Because if they ever asked for it and they can tell it's a forgery, you can be banned. You can be banned, and you don't want to do that too. You don't want to do that too. Yeah, just follow I would say follow the straight and narrow. Follow the straight and narrow. Sometimes keeping it simple is the right way. Instead of complicating your story about, sometimes you can make up such a good story, but it's too good to be true. Or you can make up a story that really ties to the job that you do, that really ties to uh, the so many things, but then it's like too good to be true. And then somebody can come and make up a very silly purpose and end up getting that visa. Because why? Because it was silly and simple. It's like, oh, they are not gonna believe Ati. Ati, they are not gonna believe Ati I'm going to the US to see snow for the first time. And then kaboom. By now I know like 3 people who got visas because they came to the US to see snow. But when you're thinking like in your mind, Ati, tell them I'm going to see snow. I don't think they're going to give me the visa. No. But it can be simple and it looks like it's like no way yeah. It's like a silly answer, but sometimes those actually do work. They do. Those actually do work. So Peter, no. Don't Nini. Amedin Abdullahi, hi, tuseme unataka kuona Statue of Liberty or Niagara Falls. Does it require invitation letter? So if you're coming to see the Statue of Liberty, or you're going to Canada to see, oh yeah, there's also the New York side of the Niagara Falls. So you're coming to the US to see the Niagara Falls. In that case, you don't need an invitation letter because you're coming for tourism. You just need a plan. You just need a plan, whether it's, and you can, those plans can be estimates, because a lot of times, you don't want to go ahead you don't want to go ahead and buy like a trip, doing like excursions, or going to, buy like all those rides, the boat rides and things before you've gotten the visa, or like booking hotels and flights. Sometimes, you want to wait until you get the visa before you can book. But some people say, hey, maybe if I book, then it might look like I'm serious. and so you can reserve, like, and do it in a way that it's refundable. Some people do that, but I'm honestly, just keep it simple. Just say estimate. People have said estimate, they've gotten it. Not necessarily that you need to actually book the hotel, book the whatever the plan. Just you just need to have a plan, and you just need to voice it out. I'm going to do this and this and that. Yeah. I'm going to New no, I'm going to New York, New Jersey. And then yeah, one of the things I'm gonna do there is I'm gonna go see the Statue of Liberty. And then yeah, I wanna make it my way to Niagara Falls, and see Niagara Falls. So just, you can have an itinerary. This is my itinerary in the US. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this and that. Yeah. Hopefully, so you don't need an invitation letter if you're going for tourism. You just need a plan. You just need a plan. This is what I'm going to do. Hmm? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to Wyoming. And sometimes it's like all these weird random, because nobody, and I'm pretty sure not very many people, like not very many like Kenyans or Tanzanians have gone to the embassy and said, oh, I want to go to Wyoming. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't even know Wyoming is a state. I'm going to Yellowstone. Yellowstone is in Wyoming. Why are you going to Yellowstone? I'm going to see that. I'm going to see that. What's that thing that there's yeah, something to do with hot lava and uh, what's it called? What's it called? But like Yellowstone is so beautiful, one of the most beautiful. I think Yellowstone is very underrated, but like Yellowstone is beautiful to go see Yellowstone, and just so many things about Yellowstone. Like, yeah. And when someone asks, oh, wait, so how did you know about Yellowstone? I watched the show Yellowstone. Yeah. Yeah. I watched Yellowstone, and Yellowstone is my favorite show. And I've always wanted to go and see Yellowstone for myself. Yeah. And then kaboom. It's very silly, but boy, why not? Or people have said, if you've watched something like Friends, Friends was based in New York, and you just want to go see where it was cast. It's yeah, it's you. I mean, you're very unique in the way you did something. It's like, yeah, but visit tourism, you don't need an invitation. You just need a plan. You just need a plan. Just need a plan. Ah, yeah. And then Solomon Ng'ang'a saying, sema mzee wangu, let's say nimepata visa. Naweza ongeza mtu nikisema ni dependent wangu na si wa family. So Solomon is saying, what if I get a visa? Can I add somebody who is and say they're your dependent? First of all, every person that wants to come to the US, they have to go to the embassy for a visa interview. So you cannot just add somebody after the fact. So if you say you have a dependent, then they actually have to go to the embassy to prove it. So you can't just add somebody just like that. You need to prove that they're actually your dependent, and they need to go to the embassy to get the visa. And I wouldn't recommend adding somebody who's not a dependent as your dependent. Samuel Mwathi also, can you do a remote job series from USA, especially zenye zina target Kenyans in America to Kenyans in Africa? Wait, can you do a remote job series? Oh, like a series that has remote jobs that specifically relate to Kenya? Damn, that would be a good, yeah. And maybe people who are seeing me, I know there's a lot of people who are Kenyans in America who watch me. Uh, man, I'm always game for creating. Man, if there's a way we can create employment for our people back home, and I think there's space, and this is to my people. Uh we need to get to a point, I think, to expand the way we think as Kenyans, and especially, because I speak to Kenyans, I speak to Ugandans, I speak to our people, man. It's our people, our East African community. It's our people. I think we need to get to a point, man. Uh, Being employed is good, But I think we come into the US and we become slaves of the paycheck. And unfortunately, that is the case. So many people who are either doing business back home, people who are very creative, so many people who are talented, they come to the US and you get so comfortable with a paycheck. And there's nothing as bad as just getting addicted to that, receiving that paycheck. And there's all this kafia that, especially our Kenyan people, we like to monger fear, to say, oh, don't start businesses here, you won't succeed. It's very difficult and stuff. But I think we're missing out on, because I feel like there's so many opportunities, man. And I'm all game. If you have ideas, if you think, if you're here and you're listening to me, you're Kenyan in Kenya, Kenyan or Kenyan in America, and you have all this, let's do it, man. If there's a way we can create employment for our people, man, I'm all game for that, because we need to do that, because there is money in business. Unfortunately, that money yeah, it just stays there. Nobody is we're not making that push, because you come here, people get comfortable, man, looking for a job, a paycheck, and man, let me tell you, once you get hooked to that paycheck, it is so hard to get to a point where you're like, oh my gosh, I've always had this dream to start my own thing. Maybe this is, I'm saying this to somebody who's been wanting or thinking about leaving employment to start doing your own thing. Not everybody can start their own business. Some people are just meant to be employees for the rest of their life, and that's very good. It's okay. It's fine. But if you are just receiving that paycheck, and you've become a slave of that paycheck, and you know that the Lord has put a skill, a dream in you, risk, risk. I'm telling you, risk. Sometimes it's as easy as waking up in the morning and saying, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with receiving paychecks, and I'm done. I'm just going to go risk it. Follow your, yeah. And it's January, by the way. We make New Year resolutions. Man, if you're thinking that, I'm here to tell you, so many people have done that. And stemming from that question, I think we need to do that more. We need to do that more. Create wealth, not only just for us, but also for, because we can, there's ways we can, for me personally, what I've been thinking about, and I feel like, come like, this has been, especially like, if for me as a content creator, if I want to do content is beneficial, or do business with people back home, there's like this huge gap of payment when it comes to payment from back home to here. Because like everyone, it's Mpesa is like the only thing to do business about. Not so many people have, credit cards back home. So that becomes a problem. Even when you're trying to do something, there's like this gap that of Mpesa. It's like, why doesn't somebody create a platform, a payment processing platform that becomes, whether it's taking that M-Pesa, converting it in a way that somebody pays in M-Pesa, and I know there's global payments, which hardly ever works. It's not like, it's so many people have so many issues with it. But I feel like, especially if you are able to do that, man, if you're in IT, if you are, that is such a huge opportunity, that, as if you're thinking about creating something, that would be awesome, to bridge the gap between us here and you guys back home, and making it possible in a way that, I can use dollars, and it can flow back home, whether it's exchange of goods or services and things like it. Just, I think it will make business much more easy, and it just open up all these things. And because right now, you can buy things from Amazon, from anywhere, around the US. But then there's always all these complications that comes with doing international business. I feel like that is a huge whole opportunity to make money. Somebody's gonna get rich someday. Somebody's gonna get rich someday doing that. Aya, tuendelee kazi. Joy, my uncle is on a wheelchair. Can he go with someone to his interview to push him? Uh, actually what you can do is you can apply. You can apply for a visa for yourself. If your uncle is handicapped or you have a relative who is handicapped and they're not, they need help, you can apply for a visa, for to go as his helper, because he's probably gonna need help. So that could be a way for you to go to the US with your uncle. Yeah. So obviously, I mean, yeah, there's gonna be somebody who takes him to the embassy. But usually I think unless he cannot speak, in which case he would need a translator, and they try and find translators at the embassy. But if you're thinking about coming to the US, yeah, you can get if your uncle gets the visa, you can get the visa to be the helper. Yeah, that would be the way that you get your visa too. Would be the way you get your visa. Yeah. Oh, Mtali is asking, hi, awaiting my EB3 visa for or NAS aid. What kind of questions do they ask after it gets approved? By the time it gets approved, the employer has done so many things. So don't worry too much. They just ask you about questions about your employer. Your employer gives you everything, and it's really not very complicated questions. Not very complicated questions, but they're just questions in line with your work visa. Questions are very simple and direct, because everything you have, they've gone through. The employer has gone through all the complications. All the complications. Ah, yeah. Hi, Essie. Hi, Essie. Yeah. SG Captain. Are there many Kenyans living in Arizona? There are actually a lot of Kenyans. There are actually a lot of Kenyans living in Arizona. It's one of those states that is growing in terms of Kenyans. Kenyans. Yeah, Arizona. Arizona is Arizona is a desert, and so you know it can be like really hot during the day, and sometimes it gets like cold because of being like being a desert. But it's overall, man, the summers are extremely hot. Extremely hot. If you've seen videos of people cooking outside in the sun, that's Arizona. It's like, man, burning hot. Burning hot. Like you can cook your kitoweo outside in the sun. But yeah, Arizona has Phoenix, Flagstaff. Yeah, Phoenix, Flagstaff. There's a number of Kenyans who live in Arizona. It's a growing community. Yeah, but also Arizona is not as expensive. Not as expensive. So not as expensive to live in. Yeah. Moving on swiftly. Yeah, Tekla from Saudi. I have a quiz. Kuna mtu unajua ashawahi pata PCC ya Saudi, and how did the person do to get it? So personally, Tekla is asking about the police clearance certificate, good conduct. And if you're here and you came to the US from Saudi Arabia, and how did you get your PCC from Saudi? How did you go about getting your PCC? So if you are here, man, and you know how to do that, please type in the comments, and I can type in the comments, and we can help Tekla. Please, anybody who is maybe they're in the US and they came from Saudi. And you know how did you get your police clearance certificate, your PCC, your good conduct? Tekla, hopefully somebody will answer. Somebody will answer that. Somebody will answer that. Aya, Nefat Kahinga. Hello kiongozi. Is it true USA embassy wametoa interview? Embassy? No, embassy is still going on. The interviews are still going on. What happens is if you try and go book your appointment, you will see like they are fully booked now until I don't know, uko mbali. But I tell people, if you're struggling to get an interview, just book whatever you find, whether it's July, September, and then keep checking every day. Keep checking every day, and like check when it's daytime in the US and nighttime in Kenya. That's when a lot of those appointments you'll find them. Keep checking every day, and then if you go where you booked your where you scheduled your appointment, if you go to the same page, there's a place that says reschedule appointment. Reschedule appointment. You click on that, and it'll give you the option to reschedule your appointment. Reschedule your appointment. Mary Joroge, can I ask this question? Currently working in Dubai, and I'm asking, if I win DV lottery and I'm still under contract, my boss don't want to cancel it, can it be a problem for me to get a visa? Again, my Saudi people, I know, Gulf people, bana. Gulf people. If you know, I know so many people have, like, you do it chini ya maji, then once you get it, people do that, and then they just ask, they leave. Yeah, but as long as you're able to go to the embassy, to the visa, to your appointment, then you're good. Yeah, that doesn't matter very much. Lazima nikuwe na Qatar PCC. I was there 7 years ago nikienda interview. Yeah, kama ulikaa, if you stayed, you need a PCC, unahitaji good conduct. Kama ulikaa uko for more than 6 months. Mwesha nauliza, kwani yangu uoni? Nauliza sana, nilikuwa nimemark za YouTube. Kuna watu wangu wa YouTube hapa nilikuwa nimewatupa sana, ndio nilikuwa naingia ni wajibu. So nasoma za YouTube sana. Sijakuwa hapa in a minute. Watu wa TikTok tulikuwa na nyinyi jana, na sitaki kutupa watu wangu wa YouTube hivyo. Okay, so next question is all right. So kindly touch on F2A Kenya is taking long to schedule. Kindly touch on F2A. Fanis Kemunto is asking, anauliza, kindly touch on F2A Kenya is taking long to schedule interviews. Where, these acronyms, the US, unless uko very clear about asking them, they can be, because F2 visa is also the visa that if you come here as a student, you can bring your spouse and bring your kids. So if you come here as a student, that's F1 visa. If you bring your kids and or your wife, that's the F2 visa. But I think you're saying F2A. F2A is second preference. F2A is a totally different. So I think these are spouses and children who are unmarried and under 21 years old, of people who have green cards. So this is when you have a green card and you apply to bring in your kids or your spouse. So what happens is F1 is the first preference. F1 is the unmarried sons and daughters under the age of 21 years old, of US citizens. F2 is spouses and children who are obviously unmarried and under 21 years old of green card holders. So what happens is, if you apply to bring in somebody, your spouse or your kid, with a green card, it usually takes longer than somebody who's a citizen applying. So that's why they call it F second preference, because you don't have the first preference. And what you might be seeing is they've been taking a while. It's just there's a lot. They're going slower than the backlog, obviously, but also there's so many things that are going on. A lot of those things are like, the US embassy in Kenya is extremely busy. Part of it is because I think Kenya serves 5 countries or so. And so there's like, that's the big problem, is you might get documentarily qualified, but then getting the visa date becomes an issue, because man, they need to find a way to open embassies for all these other countries, because now they're like, and it's making Kenya, the people who've won green cards, the process is going slow. Why? Because it's because Kenya is serving too many people, too many countries. But yeah, there's really nothing you can do about that. It's really up to them. Whenever they become available, they become available. Yeah, unless you take the course of suing the US. That would be a lawyer suing, saying, if they've taken super long. You can always find, I think lawyers do that, and they petition, and you sue and say, we've been waiting for super long. This is unacceptable. Otherwise, it's just a waiting game. Maureen Monka. Hey Owen, kwa visit visa lazima ufanye medicals? No. You don't do medical for visit visa or student visa. Nimechelewa kiasi. Usiworry. Everything will be saved on YouTube. By the way, if you missed, today we talked about a very good, I talked about kind of prepping for the visit visa interview, some of those things, the room temperature at the embassy, just meeting a mzungu for the first time, and the common questions that are asked for a visit visa. So all that info is I've already talked about that. You'll find it hapa kwa YouTube. You'll be saved hapa kwa YouTube channel yangu. No. Shamax, I am still waiting for your response in Telegram regarding my denial for student visa for Canada. Man, yeah. A lot of those times it's student Canada deniers. It's it has a lot to do with sometimes your statement of purpose, ile kitu unaenda kufanya nini shule, and saa ingine ukinini, like most of the mistakes people do is you have a degree and then you're applying for a community college to go do an associate degree. A lot of times that doesn't make any sense, because usually you have a degree, you apply to go do your master's, or sometimes you're totally changing the fields that you are studying in. If you want to do that, I would recommend do that once you get to the country. You can get to the country and totally change your major. But for ease, get your visa, just try and do, maybe advance your degree, advance your degree, and then you can come and enroll to that community college you want to. But while just applying for the visa, those abrupt, like maybe you did engineering, or you did engineering, and then now you want to do nursing. It doesn't make any sense. Like on what are the odds? You went to school, did engineering, alafu all of a sudden you want to change and do nothing. Like that wouldn't make very much sense. But you can apply to come do your masters in engineering. Okay? And then once you get your visa and you come here and you really want to change and go do nothing, you can always change. People always change majors every single time here. It's a very common thing. People change majors all the time. So once you get here, then you can change. But if you go a lot of times, if you go to the embassy with like abrupt changes, or like you have a degree, you're going to do a diploma, doesn't, yeah, associate degree is a diploma. That's like, why are you stepping down? Why are you not stepping up? Why are you not stepping up? Solomon Juguna, bro, umesaidia watu wengi sana na information. Thanks. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Amos Lucky, hey, just help. I have a friend who invited me and I wrote the address he was at the time, but recently his parents sent to me invitation letter and the current address. Does that have an issue? Wait, did I not understand that? I have a friend who invited me and I wrote the address. Oh, in the DS-160 you wrote the address, but recently his parents sent to me invitation letter and the current address. Does that have an issue? Use the address. When you go to the embassy, make sure you use the address you filled. Yeah, I think you're saying that your friend gave you a different address and the invitation has a different address. Invitation, they just tell them to change it to the old one. Otherwise, what you have to do is fill another DS-160 and add the new address. Yeah, I've done a video on my YouTube channel. If you want to do what you can do that, and this is for people who, if you like want to change, if you want to change a detail like the address, maybe you've gotten a different address than the one that you filled, all you need to go do, complete a new DS-160, take the confirmation number, go to where you booked the appointment and change. You can only change once. Okay, and I've done a video to show you how to do that. You can go to where you book the appointment and change your confirmation number on that page. You can only change it once. All right, so change that confirmation, put the new confirmation number, and go to the embassy with a new confirmation number. Hopefully I've answered you. Otherwise, use the old one that you have already listed in the DS-160. Don't go there with different addresses. What happens is that will communicate kuna inconsistency. Utaki communicate inconsistency. Hi Owen, also talk about F1. I'm preparing for that. What do you want me to talk about F1? Nani? Jen Tony. What do you want me to talk about F1? F1. If you have there's so many things about the F1. I don't know, maybe what in particular are you wanted to, because I know I had talked about questions they ask you on the visit visa. Unataka niongea about nini? Questions they ask you on the F1 visa. Yeah. But yeah, so maybe it's that. Usually it's really, why are you going to the US? What will you specialize in? Like degree yako ni gani? What are you going to study? What are you going to study? What will be your major? Major yako ni gani? Ukienda kusoma, what will be your major? Where are you going to school? No. Where are you going to school? If you're going to school now, where do you go to school now? What do you do for a living? They can ask you how many colleges you applied for. How many colleges did you apply for? How many schools did you get admitted to? How many schools rejected you? Yeah. Have you been to the US before? But it's, sometimes they can ask you, about, because if you've gone through West na umetranslate nini zako, anaweza kuuliza what's your GPA? What's your GPA? GPA yako ni nini? How do you plan to fund your education? But again, these are some of the things that umejibu. How much does your school cost? How will you pay for this expenses? Shule ni pesa ngapi? Obviously uko na hiyo information yote, uko na I20, uko na information about cost. If you're being sponsored, sponsor wako anafanya nini? Yeah? Sponsor wako anafanya nini? Did you take any loans kufund your nini? How do you plan on nini? Do you have, are you going to be, this is another question too that they might ask you, it's a trick question that they'll ask you ukienda visitor visa, wanakuuliza, do you intend to work visitor visa? Ukisema yes, unajitega, because visitor visa you're not supposed to work. Hata kama unafanya kazi chini ya maji, you say I'm not going to fanya kazi. Do you have relatives that are in the US? What are your plans after you graduate? Do you have a job career in mind after you graduate? Yeah. Are you planning to return back to your home country? Are you sure you won't stay in the US? Yeah. When you come back, will you continue working with the same current employer that you are working with? Yeah. Why should we give you the visa? Yeah. Why should we give you the visa? What will you answer? Utajibu nini? Why should we give you the visa? Excuse me, sir, but I want to omoka. I want to omoka. Yeah. The question they asked me is why, why are you going to study in the US? And that is the question I pounced on. That is the question that gave me my visa. It wasn't about my bank statement. It wasn't about how I was dressing. It was about how I answered that first question. And they did not ask me another question. Yeah. I took that question, I ran with it. The consular cried, and they gave me the visa. That was it. The first question, I think I nearly said, the first question is make sure you attack the first question diligently. A complete answer. Not too long, not too short, but a complete answer. Help me, sitaki US, I want Canada. Hizo maswali. Canada, yeah. Canada, it's not you don't actually go to the embassy for questions. You send in your application. Yeah. Looking for chof job. Tell me how to apply for H2B visa. Zuba, which country are you from? First, make sure that your country is eligible for H2B visa. Yeah. I did that video and people are like, let's tell the truth, Lakini. H2A, H2B visa. Kenya is not eligible. No East African country is eligible. No, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Congo, Burundi, you cannot. Unless somebody does a petition to the Department of State and convinces them why Kenya should be included. But otherwise, H2B visa, Kenya is not included. It is not eligible. You cannot apply for H2A, which is agricultural jobs, and H2B, non-agricultural jobs. So, yeah. Period. Yeah. So, yeah, I saw that guy doing that video. But don't believe everything you hear online, even for me. I give you information, but please make sure you verify that information. I try to do my research. but verify the information I give you. Do your own research. Yeah, do your own research. I try to do mine, but due diligence means I give you information, you do your double check. Yeah, double check. And if you find that I haven't given correct information, please come back and correct me. I love being corrected. I'm one of those people. I like to give good, honest information. And if you feel like I'm not giving good, honest information, please come tell me. I will do a whole video and recant and say, by the way, I said this. And then somebody else corrected me. And I want to make sure I give people honest information. Yeah. I don't do this for some people. Do this. I do this to educate people because I believe honestly. What you need in the US is good information to survive. US, Canada, you need good information. And yeah, because I know our people are trying to come here. Hiya. Kindly touch on family-based visas. Man, that's a long one. Let's not touch that one. That's a long one. That's a long one, man. It's already 2 a.m. Can I start coming for a tour in the US while I have never went to a tour in my country, African country? Eh, I think you've answered yourself, Nani. Priscus Godwin. One of the reasons they'll deny you the visa if you're coming as a tourist and the US is the first tourist destination you've been to. Why? Because it doesn't make any sense that the US is your first country you want to tour and you've never even been to your neighbor. And sometimes they don't even consider our neighbors, Tanzania and Uganda, as nini. Yeah. I saw the other day, I saw this group that did a tour to South Africa from Kenya. They went through bus to South Africa. What does that mean? That means their passport got stamped in so many countries on their way to South Africa. What does that mean? That means that's somebody who has a travel history, because they'll show South Africa, they'll show Zambia, they'll show along the way all these countries they've been to. People do that, by the way. Yeah. People do tours to take a bus tour all the way to South Africa. Yeah? Take a tour from here to Tanzania, and then from Tanzania, go to, I don't know, Zambia, and then you just find your Mozambique, whatever. Yeah? And then ultimately you land in South Africa. And what happens is along the way, your your passport keeps getting stamps. So it's not always super expensive, but by bus it's not as expensive. And then you've gotten yourself a number of visas. Then after that, shoot to Dubai or something. Again, not too far. What happens? You've just made a travel history for yourself. This is somebody who I enjoy traveling. And so now if you say, by the way, it's just that I've been to all these countries, these Southern African countries, I've done this, and I want to out this, yeah, there's something I go do. What do you go do? I go see birds in these countries, and I want to see the birds of the US. I want to see the birds of Canada. My friend, that's how you get the visa. But you cannot say US, you're coming as a tourist and US is your first destination. Unfortunately, most of the time that is a denial. Aya. Aya. Vibrant photography. Hi Niajo, when a friend of mine jana alinyimwa interview. Alinyimwa, I think, visa. Alinyimwa interview. Na alinishow the reason why alinyimwa visa. It's because alisema ana travel US kwenda kuona boyfriend yake. Purpose ya kutravel tuliandika tourism. Yeah. Hey, there's some no-nos. Kuna vitu hufai kusema. Ati I'm going to visit my fiancé. The minute tunasema hivyo unanyimwa visa na unaenda ati na visit visa. Unaweza enda. Actually kuna dem tulifanya ametoka US juzi na alikuja kuona boyfriend yake. Boyfriend ni different na fiance. Na yeye vile tuliongea na yeye, nilimwambia okay, nilimuuliza where have you traveled? Akaniambia ametravel, ameenda Europe, ametravel. So one of the things nilijua, travel history ilikuwa ina favor huyu dem. Travel history was favoring her. So even though she was coming to see the boyfriend, I told her, just, be straight to the point, and you've been to all these countries. You can say you're going to see your boyfriend and come back. Very hard, by the way. Jaribu kumwambia, uko sure you don't want to try something else, like you're just going to tour. Ananiambia, yeah, I want to go. So yeye alienda kwa embassy akasema anaenda kuona boyfriend. But we talked. Nikamwambia, just be careful the way una trade your line. Alienda na akapewa visa. Na akaniambia, yeah, thank you so much. I got my visa. Yeah, alikuja na akakuja asharudi Kenya. Alikuwa amekuja kuona boyfriend yake. Yeah. Boyfriend yake walikuwa ameenda na yeye so many other places. So yeah, alienda akasema we do that, and I haven't seen him in a minute. Yeah, and I don't, we're still dating. I don't intend to marry him. Naenda kumuona. Yeah, akapewa visa. It's really sengine maze bahati yako, but sengine vile unajipresent, you can just unaweza kuwa very confident na nini alafu una nini. Lakini most of the time ukisema boyfriend ni kama unajieka kitanzi kiasi. Why? Because inafanya chances zako za unaenda huko utarudi, unaenda huko umari, relationship ni serious. Na maswali watakuuliza, wanaweza kuuliza maswali huko hivyo ujitege tu na kakitu umesema unyimwe. Sasa mimi kama ni boyfriend yako unaenda kuona, ama girlfriend yako, ama fiance, just kuja tourism, ama kuja conference, ama kuja kitu ingine. Cause yeah, udem alipewa lakini watu wengi unyimwa, kama beshte yako nani? Vibrant photography. Beshte yako alinyimwa kwa sababu ya boyfriend. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu I think alienda ka trip na maneno. Ni rahisi sana kujikanganya. Unajitega na maneno, unajipata umejitega na maneno. I'm very sure hivyo ndo walifanya. Hiyo ni slippery slope. Mani girlfriend ka mbali na hiyo, honestly, kwa advice. Udem ni vile alikuwa anajiamini. Na yeye alikuwa roju, alienda na akapewa visa. So kama unajiamini we ni roju, enda nayo. Aya. Simoni Saitoti, I have an invitation for conference in March. I have constantly watched your videos and I think I'm ready for the visa interview. Simon Saitoti, man, go bring your testimony, my brother. Go bring your testimony. Hii mwaka I told you, hii mwaka you are getting visas in Jesus' name. You guys are coming with testimonies. I'm waiting for these testimonies. So Kevin Saitoti, I'm waiting. Nirudie, let me repeat it, by the way, because for the people who are not here when we started this program, tafadhali wa Kenya, especially this is for my Kenyan people. Usipeleke chai kwa US Embassy. Don't go take tea at the US Embassy. Very important. What do I mean by don't take tea? Usiende kwa sababu tunapenda, kama wa Kenya tunapenda chai. Yani chai, what is chai? Chai is tunapenda keeping our noses in other people's business. Wewe umeenda embassy kupewa visa. Lakini unaingia, the minute unaingia, unaanza kuchokora watu. Yani umeanza kuangalia watu vile wamevaa, vile wanakaa. Alafu sasa wewe ndio unaanza kuambiana, guy, huyo amenyimwa. Huyo mwingine amenyimwa. Huyo amenyimwa. Wamenyimwa wote, hawapeani leo. That is tea. Kwa sababu wewe sasa utakuwa tea master. na tunapenda sana hiyo. Ni kitu hakuna, sidhani kuna Mkenya anaweza sema apendi chai. Chai tunapenda, lakini chai tafadhali tusipeleke US Embassy. Sasa ikuwe wewe ulienda kupewa visa ya kwenda US, lakini sasa wewe ushakuwa chai master, you are the one serving tea. Ukiambiaga watu angalia yule vile guy, angalia vile amevaa, huyu hata hawezi pewa visa, mwangalie huyo. Guy, umeona huyo vile amelia? Yani kufanya hivyo ni upuzi. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu you are distracting yourself. You need to be, unafaa kuwa tip top, sharp. Ndio ukiulizwa maswali, akikuuliza maswali uko hivi chap. So badala ya kuenda kukunywa chai na kuanza kuingiza mapua yako kwa sababu nini ilikuleta embassy? Ulikuja embassy kukunywa chai ama ulikuja embassy kupata visa? Wakenya tafadhali, kwa sababu wewe kwanza umeenda umekunywa chai, umeserve kila mtu na uoga. Not only wewe utanyimwa visa, utafanya watu wengine wakinyimwa visa kwa sababu wewe unaenda ukiwaambia guy leo hapeani. Watu wote 10 wameenda mbele yangu, wote wamenyimwa. My friend, ile akili utaenda nayo pale kwa window itakuwa akili ya kugive up, kwa sababu tayari ushajiambia watu 10 wako mbele yangu, wote wamenyimwa. Mimi ni nani? Mimi ni nani nipewe? Na hivyo ukienda na hiyo attitude na hiyo nini, hata umesahau. Alafu unaenda hapo, swali ya kwanza consular anakuuliza ati what is the address you're going to stay in the US? Wewe unakumbuka tu yule mama alikuwa amevaa kitenge, yule mama alianguka akilia, guy wamenyima watu 10, ni wanataka kuninyima. Hizo vitu kwa akili, mtu wangu, achana upuzi. Tunapeleka embassy. We ulienda kukunywa chai ama ulienda kufanya interview? Na ndio swali of the day. Are you the tea master ama did you go to collect your visa? Kwa sababu kama ulienda kuserve chai, ile kitu utatoka tu nayo ni birika na thamos. Visa utaiacha huko kwa US Embassy. Tafadhali go there, mind your business. Unaona biashara, ukiendaga interview ya kazi, uendage kukaa ukiangalia watu ati vile wananini pale, kwa ati vile wanatoka wakilia. Unaendaga pale, mtu wangu, focus. That's the thing I'm trying to say. Focus on what brought you to the embassy. You came to the embassy to get the visa. Please focus man, focus. Hizi vitu zingine, extracurricular activities, leave them at home, or you'll come get them here. TikTok is a home of tea. You'll find a lot of tea here, but don't take your tea to the embassy. Don't go serve tea at the US Embassy. Tafadhali. Wa Kenya. Man, because you're distracting yourself, and if you're not focused, just your time ukienda hapo, when you go there, man, just concentrate on your case. If you have a copy of your DS-160, ipitie tena, ona vile ulijibu maswali. Ipitie, angalia document zako. Kama time bado, funga macho, piga ihoya, chapa maombi. Achana na wale watu amukuingia na wao. We pesa ulilipa pesa yako peke yako kwa embassy. Wale watu mkinyimwa, hata mtakuja kuonana nao tena. We acha kuserve watu chai, na achana na watu wanaserve chai, waserve chai. Wao ni watu wa chai, wewe ulikuja kupata visa. Na ni hivyo tu. Una avoid distraction. Linda Lindsay Githagui. Pole kama nimebucha hiyo jina yako. Sorry if I've butchered your name. Hi Owen, I would like to know which company for camp counselors doesn't usually require a person to pay for application fee. You just pay only for flight and visa process. Please advise. So Lindsay, what happens is there's some fees you have to pay. I don't think with a J1 visa you cannot get around not paying any, because what you're doing is you're working with a sponsor. Unafanya kazi na sponsor. Huyu sponsor ndio atafacilitate kila kitu kwako, atakufacilitatea paperwork na nini. So you have to yeah, there's always a fee. There's always a fee you have to pay. But about how much you pay, you can always go through. Like when I did my video on YouTube, the one that I did, yeah, camp counselors, I gave you the list of all the program sponsors. If you have the time, just reach out to a few. Usikia hawa analipisha pesa ngapi, how much are these ones charging, and then go for the enda for ule ananini, ule affordable kwako. But unfortunately, unless you do it for, yeah, and you can even do it for yourself, because you need a sponsor. You kind of need to go, because there has to be someone sponsoring you to go and work in that particular camp. Watching from Jogorod, let me ask Sami Jenga, let me ask you, I applied a driver to with Wana Enterprises, but being asked to pay 115 for registration fee. Is that legit? That sounds like unagongwa. Hiyo ina sound kama unagongwa. Unagongwa. Aya, Thomas Kioko Wangu, is it possible to apply visa interview through TZ in Dar for March conference? It is possible. Lakini enda pale na reason ya kwa nini unafanyia, why are you doing your interview in a third country? No, in a country that's not your home. Because first of the things they'll ask you, they'll ask you where you're from. Are you Tanzanian? Why are you doing your interview here in Tanzania and not in Kenya? Make sure you have a good valid reason. Yeah, don't say because there's people. Somebody said I'm doing this because it's easier to get. No, it's hard to get a visa in Nairobi, so I'm doing my interview in Tanzania. Don't say that. Yeah, just say I was here for tourism. I have relatives who live here. I have a boyfriend who lives here, and blah blah blah. Just or maybe sometimes it's I have to go. My conference is this date, and I've tried to apply at the U.S. Embassy, and there's no opening. So, and Tanzania give me the date that I needed. Give me the date nilikuwa na need. Oh, Jess Gadenya saying about Saudi Arabia PCC iko kwa kitu inaitwa Absha. So, Tekla hii ni yako. Because Tekla was asking kupata PCC, police clearance certificate, good conduct. And Jess Gadenya is saying about Saudi Arabia PCC iko kwa kitu inaitwa Absha. You book online, then you go to Jawazat for fingerprint. So whatever that is, I think if you live in Saudi, then you know. So go to Absha, book online, and then you go to Jawazat for your fingerprints. Yeah. Feels like a tongue twister, but hopefully imekujibu swali yako. Aya, Makora, big up. Big up KAH. I'm contemplating on going to Canada to do a diploma certificate course in web development, considering both have a postgraduate work permit, which is the better option. Diploma for 2 years or certificate for 2 years? I would say diploma for 2 years, because if you do the diploma for 2 years, then it's high chances your postgraduate work permit itakuwa 2 years. So that's 2 years ya kufanya kazi is not bad. Postgraduate work permit is after ushamaliza shule, they give you a work, ni kama US wanaita OPT. Optional practical training. Ni kama internship, but unapata option work permit ya kufanya kazi with any company unataka. So I would say do a diploma ya 2 years. Itakupatia more time kwa postgraduate work permit. Aya, Jess Gadenya, asante sana. Joe Farrell anasema, how is settling in Idaho, specifically Boise, if one wins a green card. Nimetafuta hapa YouTube na sijaona a Kenyan YouTuber huko. Idaho inajulikana kwa viazi. Kama unapenda viazi, Idaho potatoes. Viazi. Idaho inajulikana kwa viazi. Inajulikana kwa viazi. But yeah, so I've been to, nimekuwa Boise. Boise is, it's a beautiful city. Boise is a beautiful city. Nothing special about Idaho. It's really cold. It gets cold kwa sababu Idaho imeshikana hapo. Every state that pretty much guzas Canada, inaguza Canada ni baridi. But nothing, viazi ndio inajulikana sana na nini. I think, ile time when I was in Boise nilikula nini? Smoothie ya nyasi. Nilikula smoothie ya nyasi. Nilikuwa nimeenda kanisa hapo. Kanisa fulani nilikuwa nimeenda kuongea. Walikuwa na service kama 7. Mimi yaki. By the time namaliza hizo service 7, mimi nilikuwa na zile za huyo pastor anahubiringi kila Sunday 7 services. By hiyo time nilikuwa nimechoka kama kitu kingine. Ndio nikaenda kuchukua smoothie, nikakunywa smoothie ya nyasi. Wako na smoothie ya nyasi, Napier grass smoothie. Wazungu ni wengine ni watu wafani sana. But Idaho, it's Idaho kuna mashamba. Boise is the capital. So there's so many trees in Boise kwa city. But nothing, I don't know if there's anything super special. Not too bad of a state. Between Boise na Idaho na Ohio, Idaho. Idaho. Na kama unapenda waru, even better. Kama wewe ni Musapere, you will be home. Kuja tu na dhufu. Wako na waru. I hope sijatukana wa Masapere. Jane Tony, for F1 visa, if asked the address you're going to, do you give the school address or the place you will be hosted before reporting to school? Watakuuliza usually shule, they'll either ask you where is your school, ama they'll ask you where are you going to be staying. Obviously, those are two different answers. Where is the school? Unajua address ya shule. Where will you be staying? Unajua address ya mahali unakaa. Hivyo ndio utawapatia. Utawapatia hivyo. So because obviously haukai shule unless unakaa on campus housing. Steven Minor, what if in DV hukuweka family, then before you put juu ya family ties, can they find out? What if in DV hukuweka family, then before you put juu ya family ties, can they find out? Kama hukuweka familia by ukijaza, if you didn't put your family when you're doing the entry, ukitaka kupata hiyo visa, stay away from kuguza family, because hiyo ni denial, mtu wangu. Hiyo ni denial. Hiyo ni denial. Alan Karaoke, passports Kenya zimekataa kutoka kabisa. Yangu iko na 1 year and 6 months sahi. Alan, nimekuwa nikiona kuna watu kama kwa group yangu ya DV Lottery, kuna watu bado walikuwa nangoja passport zao na waliconnectiwa. Lakini chunga ukiconnectiwa. Unajua Kenya ni nchi ya kitu kidogo. Ukitoa kakitu itatoka. Hiyo nayo unfortunately bana. Nairobi ni shamba la mawe. Na ukikaa vibaya, hata hiyo umetoa watakuramba na ubaki ukingoja. baki ukingoja. Hello bro, hizi job za Amazon company are they real? Job gani? Kuna remote jobs nilieka hapa YouTube. Amazon is one of those zina hire, but ina depend ni job gani za nini za Amazon wanakuambia. Ina depend ni job gani. So bila kujua ni what kind of jobs you're talking about, it's hard kujua. Samuel Asowa, is it easy for a person who doesn't have a job and has been married for 10 years with 3 kids but without a marriage certificate to be given a visit visa to attend a function? Where is it easy? So hauna job, you've been married for 10 years na watoi watatu na hauna marriage certificate. Buda, I've seen worse. Wamepewa visa. I think ni vile una organize story yako. At the end of the day ni vile una organize story yako. Juu niliwaambia not necessarily ati ukuwe na bank statement strong. Ni vile unajieleza pale hivyo. Yeah. Obviously, umesema hauna do, you have to show how utajifinance. Hiyo cost ya how will you be able to pay for the cost of the trip? You have to show how you're going to do that. And so you have to find a way to do that, because if you're not able to show you can pay for the cost, I don't think they're going to give you a visa. Because hawana nini. See, it's not that they will sympathize with you. Dante's Bazaar, niaje Owen, first time watching you from Dubai, UAE. Isma Gatarama, what's up? Mwaka mpya, happy new year. Dorcas Wakaba, hi Owen, do I DM to join the group? Oh yeah, just DM me and then with your case number, and then I'll put you in the group. I would like to apply the 4th time for Canadian student visa. Where? Shamakatex. Pengine, I don't know, sometimes unajua sometimes I think God hujaribu kutuambia some things. Because kama umeapply mara 3 student visa Canada ukinyimwa, either there's something fundamentally you're doing incorrect. I don't know whether it's funding or just the cost that you're doing. There has to be just some, like what? Alafu, the other thing, by the way, did you ask for the notes from the Nini? Did you ask for GCMS notes? Because Shama Catex, it looks like that will probably be better for you, because if you've been using the generic one they give you, the denial, that is not it's not always accurate. It doesn't show the notes the consular officer gave. And in your case, since you've been denied 3 times, find somebody in Canada to apply for you. So only somebody in Canada can be able to apply for GCMS notes. So if you've gotten a denial, you can ask somebody from Canada who lives in Canada to apply for you. It's the Global Case Management, GCMS, Global Case Management System. Ask for them to apply for you to get the GCMS notes. What the GCMS what's the GCMS notes will say is they will give the specific the notes that the visa officer put in your case as the reason for your denial. That is very important, because it will not just give you the generic. Because if you look at when they deny you, they give you a generic message. But if you actually want to see the notes, which for you, I think it will be so good to see the 3 denials and see if maybe there's a consistent thing that they've been denying you about. So before you try, for the fourth time and waste your money, find somebody in Canada. Ask them, hey, can you apply for GCMS notes? GCMS. Kai, I think ni kichwa yangu imeanza kunini. Brain imeanza kufunga. GCMS notes. That would be helpful for you, my bro. Instead of just going and applying again. Otherwise, jump over to the US. Pengine, apply for the F1 visa in the US. My guy, you never know. Pengine God doesn't want you in Canada. Pengine he wants you in somewhere in Alabama. Yeah? Ukipigwa na kajua, si kufreeze mabolingo. Yes, pengine Mungu jaribu kutuambia kitu. Pengine Mungu hakutaki huko Canada saa hii. Hey. Canada saa hii wanaumia. Watu wa Canada wanaumia saa hii. Waulize saa hii wanaumia. Guy, watu wa Canada saa hii wanaumia. Hata wako huko ma negative. Saa hii kamegonga. Guy, unaona? Ati kwanza leo wanasema they expect Calgary. Yeah? Calgary they expect kufika minus 38 degrees. Saa hii ndio watu Canada ni mzuri, lakini kabaridi kanakuja hapo my friend. Ngai? Why? Kabaridi kako hapo ni kabaya. Nani ibaridi noma. Hii ndio time watu ndio ile wanaambiagwa kuja Canada. Canada by the way, lakini kuna kabaridi. Watu wasikiangi until sasa kuna kabaridi. Sasa ndio ile mtu wangu unajipatia you give yourself nini in the Lord. Wycliffe Nyandaro, ati umeruka question yangu. Wycliffe, swali yako ilikuwa gani yake? Wycliffe. Oh, hi, can someone work as a Wycliffe Nyandaro? Can someone work as a data analyst job daytime and track yard jockey job at night? What will be the today payment minus tax? People do two jobs. Just ingia Google uangalie data analytics na track yard jockey. Track yard jockey ni kazi gani? Track yard jockey job. Hiyo ni DJ. DJ ni disc jockey. Huyu ni track yard jockey. I have no idea what that is, my brother. But if it's two jobs, you can do two jobs. Some people do 6 jobs. Yeah. I can tell you from the American perspective, the more money you make, but also the more money you make, the more taxes you pay. But at the end of the day, you make more money. So you keep making more money, even if you're paying more taxes. Yeah. Alafu US wanakata. So the only time really you find out how much tax you've paid is this time of the year. Kutoka January mpaka April. Kwa sababu those are the times tuna file taxes once in a year. Na hii ndio time watu watajua either utapatiwa refund ama utalipa government. He moves trailers at the yard of company to dock. Okay. It's very involving and physical, and possibly he will be physically and mentally drained to do both. Wycliffe kuna jamaa wangu hapa hivi anaitwa Mujomba. Ameeleza hiyo kitu. Atiana, he moves trailers at the yard of the company to dock. Nasema hiyo ni kazi mingi sana. Utakuwa umechoka. Sijui kama utaweza kufanya kazi mbili. Haya. Joe Farrell, so badala ya kusettle Boise nitafute host Seattle ama So badala ya kusettle Boise nitafute host Seattle ama Texas. Kuna venye umepaint Boise inaweza kuwa hard kujiset up to be an American in terms of opportunity. No, I didn't say Boise has opportunities. It's just that you won't find very many Kenyans there, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Unaona? Obviously utaki kukaa mahali America kwa sababu kuna Wakenya wengi. That's it's good, but pia saa ingine ni mzuri uishikane na watu wa America, ulearn mambo ya America na watu kwa watu wa America as much as unalearn kwa unaweza jikuta hiyo Seattle saa ingine politics na kuingia politics ya Wakenya saa ingine ni ngumu. Mwanze kuingiana in people's business, kukunywa chai, nasikia watu wanakulania watu. Saa ingine ni mzuri ukikaa mahali hakuna watu wetu wengi na ulearn kutoka kwa wazungu. Well, actually one of the best. Kwa sababu mimi nimekaa na wazungu sana. I've learned a lot from kukaa na wazungu. Sababu kukaa na wazungu unakaa na natives, unajua ile kitu. Well, natives wanajua the ins and outs. Na kuna vitu mingi. Unajua Wakenya wengi wakikuja hapa, Wakenya ni hard saa ingine wa change. So unapata mtu akikuja hapa, ile kitu aliambiwa na host afanye ndio ile kitu atafanya mpaka nini. Kama host alikuambia wewe utakuwa unapendua, utakuwa unaosha washosho, watu wengi hivyo ndio wanakaa. Wanabaki wakiosha washosho for the rest of their lives. Why? Because somebody alikushika mkono akakwambia fanya hivi. Na wewe kwa sababu wewe ni kondoo, umekuwa tu ukifanya hivyo. Kondoo tu ndio i-change course. Otherwise ni sawa ukianza maisha mtu akuambie shikilia hapa, wewe shikilia hapa, lakini kaa chini ujiulize kwa nini nashikilia hapa. Lazima nishikilie hapa ama naweza achilia. That's always be your own person bana. Be your own person. Just because mtu alifanikiwa akifanya hivi doesn't mean. Unaona kama sasa watu either anakuja anafungua home, anafungua nyumba home, unaona? Sasa wewe unataka kufungua home kwa sababu yeye amefungua home. Doesn't necessarily mean you need to open a home. Unaweza anza biashara yako. Be your own person. Ndio kitu mzuri. Be your own person. Mtu asikunini. Mimi ile kitu nakasirikanga watu wakikuja kusema ati abandon all hope, abandon all hope. Ile kitu ulisomea Kenya isahau, hautawahi itumia. Hiyo ni fokojembe advice. That is fokojembe advice. Mtu wangu kama ulikuwa engineer ukitoka Kenya, your engineering counts. It counts for something. Kuna experience hapo unaweza leverage ikusukume. Usiabandon kwa sababu mtu anakujanga unaambiwa hapana wewe. Kazi za nini huwezi pata huku. Huku hakuna, hawezi kuandika. Anza ingia nursing school. Mtu hata upendi nursing. You cannot stand damu. Lakini mtu amekuambia uabandon ile kitu yote ulikuwa unajua, ile kitu uko passionate about, unapenda, uingie, uanze kudunga watu masindano ukifanya nini, na hiyo ni kitu inakufanyanga na hapo ndio depression ukuja inaingilia watu. Because at the end of the day, ndio pesa ni mzuri. But kama unatengeneza pesa na kitu ufanyi for the rest of your life, man, utakuwa umekufa ndani. Utakuwa na unajua you can do both. You can make money and do something that you love doing. Why does it have to be one until you have to make money but you cannot do what you love? Why not do both? Why not do both? Musamaga umetoka Kenya na umefanya degree ya accounting. My friend, you come here, you can get a job na hiyo degree. Why? Kwa sababu T accounts are the same. T accounts in Kenya and T accounts here are the same. Accounting is the same fundamentally. Debits and credits. You debit an asset, you credit a liability. That is hivyo tulifundishwa hivyo University of Nairobi. Hivyo ndio wanafundisha hapa masters. Fundamentally accounting, T account is the same. Some things differ. Obviously vile nilisoma taxes ya Kenya na nimesoma tax ya US, two different things. But ultimately, I get because unaangalia accounting is just principles. All you need to do is principles. revenue recognition principle, hata kama IFRS na sasa nimeanza watu amusikile kitu namaanisha, lakini kama uko accounting unajua US GAAP is totally different than, kwa sababu US waliamua we will use our own GAAP. Hatutaki hizi dunia zote zikaungana zikatengeneza kitu inaitwa International Financial Reporting Standards. America wakasema we don't care, sisi tuko na US GAAP na tutafuata hiyo yenyu international. The same way US walisemaga sisi muko na metric system kgs na sijui nini kaeni nayo, sisi hatutaki hiyo, we'll do our own thing. The same thing naweza kuambia, be like the US, do your own thing. Usi just because mtu amekuja hapa amekwambia, amekushtua na kuuziana uoga. Wakenya na kuuziana uoga, mtu wangu hapana. Hii Kanairo, mimi nasemaga Kanairo, mtu wangu, kama kuna kitu ilitufundisha Kanairo, ilitufundisha kuhaso. Na ukikuja na hiyo nini ya Kanairo utasucceed sana hapa America. It's just that tunauziana uoga mpaka mtu anakuambia. So I see a lot of people coming in here, man, they had spent a lot of money and time and resources. Wengine wamefanya mpaka masters pale Kenya, wanakuja hapa, mtu ana convince, anawaambia hakuna pesa, hiyo kitu umefanya. Anakuambia wachana na hiyo pesa, iko hapa nursing, pesa iko hapa medical. Sikatai, kuna pesa medical. But mtu wangu, unajua kuna pesa engineering, kuna pesa IT, kuna pesa accounting, kuna pesa finance, kuna pesa unaweza chukua hiyo degree yako uislap na kitu inaitwa wisdom. Hiyo ndio kitu tu inahitajika. Take the degree that you came with from your home country and slap it with wisdom. And my friend, what you have there is you have your tool into your forever. Especially if kama ni kitu, if you are passionate about it, do it. So the fact that you find all these people, ignorant people, telling you that, all the education that you learned from back home is useless, the people there, that's ignorance. You have to know how to leverage the system and society that you're in. Personally, mimi waliniambia, kwanza accounting, there's no jobs. They only hire white people. Now in Kenya, they were telling me that there's no jobs for people your color, accounting jobs. These jobs, they only hire wazungus. My friend, that's a big lie. As a matter of fact, actually, the fact that you have a difference, some organizations they have wakona extra motivation ya kukuhaya. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu the government incentivizes them to hire people of color. Why? Sometimes they have this credits. If you hire people, minority people, you get a credit as a business. So that's alafu tu, sometimes they hire because they want to, wanataka wakae, like they want to look like they are not si watu wa kubagua. So they'll bring you in. And somebody asks, accounting job, my friend, you will never lack an accounting job. Kazi ni mingi bana. Accounting jobs, kazi ni mingi. Ukitaka kupata kazi main, upate side hustle bila hata kurudi shule. Lakini hapa ukisikia watu wamekuja hapa na ka entitlement kwa sababu wao, na ile kitu iko ni, unfortunately, na us Kenyans, my people, if they went through a big learning process, unaona, kama mtu alienda hapa akapata dead end iko pale mbele, most likely that person will not tell you, by the way, if you go this way you will meet a dead end. No, a lot of people will not do that. What they'll do is, in their mind, they'll say, see me, I went and I saw there's a dead end. You go find out for yourself the dead end. I'm not going to tell you. So they let you go through they'll pinpoint you in the wrong direction, knowing that you will go and find out that there's a dead end. That's the wrong direction. They will not sit down and tell you, by the way, Mimi, let me tell you my story. When I came here, I went that way without knowing. Unfortunately, it ended up costing me so many years or tears or whatever. And so, if I was to advise you, my friend, don't go that way because you'll see this and this and that. And so that is somebody who's helping you. But then if you sit down and you're like, okay, just because you went and met a dead end, maybe me, I'll go and find my way through the dead end. And you go. But at least that person they have enlightened you. But our people, man, they will not enlighten you. If they made a mistake, they will just step aside and let you make your own mistake and not tell you, my friend, that there's a trap there. Just because people are like, I went through it, why should I help you? Why should I help you avoid that trap? Man. Fellow Kenyans. So me, when people talk about moving to states just because to be close to our people, it's a good thing to be close to our people. They can be very good community when it comes to maombolezi, when you're like facing adversities, they're very good. They come together. But also there are some things that we inherit and bring here. Yeah, some problems that can be unfortunate. Wivu and kadhalika, and you mix all that together, and yeah. And then you have niko na question. Austin uliza swali, tips za investing other than real estate. Tips za investing other than real estate. Yeah. Some people play Forex. Bana. Yeah, but people take classes, they do that. People do Forex. You can do Forex by yourself. Yeah. Some people do open, like a Robin account or something, or some people do you can do it yourself. Some banks allow you to do that, like Wells Fargo. You can do it yourself, start with small money or learn to do that. But so real estate is what I think for me, when people talk about investing in real estate, especially real estate back home, it's almost become a cliche, like, because everybody does that. So many people have gone back home and they've built all these big gorofas, apartment complexes and stuff. But then at the end of the day, they end up struggling, filling those big complexes with people. And you invest so much money, but then what you get in return is it's not even worthwhile. Yeah. So you can invest back home. People do that. People have invested home and they've been successful at doing that. But also people sometimes forget you can also invest here. One of the disadvantages about investing back home when you especially live in the US, is Forex, exchange rates. Once that money, the dollar goes into Kenya shillings, by the time it's coming back, you've been yongwed by Forex. But if you invest, let's say you invest in the US, you invest in dollars, you make money in dollars. Yeah. So many opportunities here to invest. So you can invest in real estate here too in the US. There's investment. Rental properties can be an investment. People do Airbnbs, things that whether maybe you want to start hosting people, like like Fins does, or people yeah. Airbnb it can be good. Airbnb can be good. A good just buy a second property, start to rent it out. Rental properties, vacation homes, people do that. That can bring in money. Because then people who are coming in, they're paying for your mortgage, and yeah, and ultimately, you make something little out of that. But other than that, there's businesses, there's self-running businesses that you can do. self-running businesses that you can do. People have, you go buy a laundromat. It's a business. A lot of times you only need somebody, or you can even do it yourself, somebody to go fix machines, if just in case there's anything wrong, or collect your coins. There's a lot of opportunities that you can invest in. A lot of opportunities, man. You just need to sit down and figure out what's the best thing for you. But there's also all this. You can start your own business, but you can also buy ready-made businesses. These people, these businesses are in the business of buying and selling business. People are retiring. That's the other thing. You go to some states where they have older population, older people. What happens? These people have successful businesses, but they're getting to a point, maybe they don't have kids to live their business to, but they want their business to continue going, and they put their businesses up for sale. So, when you buy such kind of a business, you're buying goodwill, you're buying, client list, you're buying a business that's already healthy and going. The only problem is the owner of the business is too old to continue in that. So it's just that our people, man, we like to zero graze, man. Zero graze on. Yeah. But here, do you know the reason why Wazungus have money? Wazungus have money because of family businesses. And these businesses, they're like passed on from one generation to the next. So like your great grandfather, was like the beginner of this thing. It's like he's paid the sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice. But then that was passed on to your grandparents, and then your grandparents passed it on to your parents, and your parents passed it on to you. So what happens is, man, it's like pretty much you're born with a silver spoon. Why? Because generation has been passed on from one generation to the next. We don't do that. We don't do that. A lot of times you look back home, we don't even know what our parents do. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, we don't even, like, most people, what does your father do? Or try to ask what your father does. And you will get yeah. Eh? And yeah, your father maybe should have involved you in what they're doing, so that and it becomes a family. That's how Wazungus are sometimes set for life, just because you find this Wazungu man, alafu they pass, but it's what they leave for their kids, man. They're living these businesses, they're living these investments. Yeah, man. For me, if there's one thing I've come to really admire, is like some of our parents, they die and leave us in debts, like financing for their funerals. They did not leave us anything else. Hospital bill, funeral expenses. Unfortunately, yeah. Here, when most parents pass, these people, they have insurance that covers the funeral expenses. Yeah, they had good insurance that covered all the medical expenses. So at the end of the day, that is covered. The only thing is, you know, people are showing up to bury their parents. And then the next thing, oh, there's an estate. Their parents left a will. There's a mutaratara in how the money will be handed over to their kids. But look at our parents back home, man. When they die, man, you hear, oh, so and so brother killed so and so brother because of land. They could not agree. Eh? And you look at how many homes back home are like this when it comes to property. And the parents, they were tried, they were told, hey, mzee siwache will. Mzee wacha will bana. Lakini wapi? Eh? They push that, and because for some reason, because there's that element of, and the problem happens because in Africa favoritism is not hidden. Favoritism to kids to their families, it's to their, like, parents to their kids. Favoritism is not hidden. Yani, back home, by the way, parents will love the kids who have money and not the kids who are poor. Like, they don't even hide the favoritism. Yeah? If you have money, if you are successful, you become the favorite child. Yeah? Which is something so different, by the way, in the US. They try as much as possible not to, like, show that. It's one of those things, by the way, like my wife does it, and in the way, like, she treats our kids, not to show favoritism to one of the kids, to show that, we love our kids equally. But back home, aye, man, they don't even hide that stuff. They don't. Yeah. Me personally, I know, because my mom was poor. So you become their bottom. Bottom. The ones who have, they are favored. Aki. Man, we can talk about those things forever, but those things, people have died, family members have killed each other. It's like people are not talking to each other. Why? Because honestly, who are we to blame first? We blame the parents, because the parents should have handled this. They should have left a will to say, okay, this is how yeah. They should have left a way to pass on property from their kids to them. No, here, parents don't even, like, they start talking to you about, estates, leaving a will when you're not even old. People have conversations when they are 40s, and they're having conversation about, writing a will, planning for planning for the time you'll be gone. People here start looking at, they even start saying, me, I want to be buried here when I die. They even buy a plot and say, Hapa, this is where I want to be buried. They choose their tombstone they want. So it's kind of like everything is prepared. When they pass, their kids, everything will be passed on. See? And what happens? It relieves off, because there's now the problem in Africa comes because there's favoritism that was showed when even the parents were alive. Then what happens is the favored kids, they tend to believe they should have more share in property than other kids. Therein lies the problem. Because they even do that. They say that. When my father was alive, they did this, they did that. They said it to me. You take the house, you take the land. This land is ours. I should get more share. I should get the bigger share more than anybody else. Oh, my friend. And when the law starts to come in, and bribery and kadhalika, and the family has sambaratikad. And that the property actually ends up becoming a curse instead of becoming a blessing too. Yeah. Because the way I've seen it, and that, I mean, I love America because of that, is it becomes a blessing just because the way things are. People are like, people will have insurance, like, people will have life insurance, people will have medical insurance, they'll have funeral insurance to take care of funeral expenses. They'll whatever, like, by the time someone gets to that point, they've taken care of themselves. And so that's why, like, in America, you don't hear harambes. Or at someone has passed, let's have a harambe and changia for them. No. That's why that is so foreign here. This ati ya mzungu ati let's do a harambe to pay for medical nini. Yeah. Why? Because they've made those plans to do that. And sometimes, getting something like a life insurance, it's not even that expensive. Yeah. And we still have our people here who don't even do that. Those systems are here in the US. It's easy to do them, but some people don't even do that. And they live here. They're still living like they're in Kenya. And unfortunately, what happens is they get sick, they pass, and then we have to come together and do harambes to take their bodies back home. Yeah. It's a very deep conversation that I think we're not having, especially people who are moving here. It's a very good conversation to have, man. But also it's a conversation that, man, me, I've seen it. I'm very sure you know somebody that knows somebody whose families, they've killed each other, whose families, the property that their parents ended up leaving to them ended up becoming a curse. Why? Because there wasn't planning. The parents did not plan. Yeah, they did not plan well for their kids. Eh? Wamenyamaza. Ati Kenyans are not used to death. Inafanyika watu wangu, inafanyika. Let's not get too serious. Aya, tumemaliza mambo ya kifo. Msiogope sana. Yeah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Ati leo nipo online leo saa 9 asubuhi. Wanaogopa. Kuna story ya bad omen. Biblia inasema with long life, God will satisfy us. Nataka host bwana. I'm winner 20. Kelvin wa Maitha. Sai mtu wangu. Januari. Hauna host? Kama ukuaga nini, jaribu kunini. Ni DM na case namba yako. Nitakuingiza kwa group ya DV 2024 uone kama unaweza saidika. Man, mtu wangu sai so late. Januari. Ikitu DV 2024 imebakisha miezi ngapi? Imebakisha miezi 8 before iishe. About 8 months before iishe, man. Nilishangaa, niliingiza watu kwa group, wengine wanasema nameuliza umejaza DS 260? Bado niko na mpaka when nijaze. Okay. Unacheka tu. Bro, been trading Forex, wanna come in advance na nione watu vile wanacheza. Nitakamaje? Yeah, Forex is big too here, by the way. Watu wanachapa Forex. Ukijua kuchapa Forex hapo unaweza chapa Forex sana. Watu wanachapa Forex hapa pia. So hapa nayo lakini how easy is it to get a job after ukishapata job nini work permit? Rahisi sana kupata kazi Canada. Bora tu usikae tu chini nyumbani ukituma ma CV ati kwa job bank Indeed. Jitembeze. Ukienda upate kazi job bank, kazi Indeed, angalia address iko wapi, vuka hapo, ingia hapo uambie, by the way nimeona mna advertise kazi. Nimekuja tu kupita niwaambie I'm very interested in that position, ningependa kufanya kazi sana hapa. Singine wanakuona unajitokeza hapa hivi unaambia okay, unaweza fanya interview saa hii. Hivyo ndio watu wengi by the way wamepata kazi. Unaenda hapo hivyo una nini, kumbe watu wako busy man, hawana time ya kusoma ma CV, ma resume. Unajitokeza tu hapo hivyo, wanakuambia unaweza fanya interview saa hii. Niko ready. Wapigishwa interview hapo saa hii, waambie we like you, kuja nini. Are you able to start on Monday? Sema ndio baba, niko tayari kuchukua hizo madola kutoka Monday. Mshahara ni mzuri kwako? Okay, sawa. I'll email you the offer, sign alafu nini, na uanze kazi Monday. Umepata kazi. Lakini ukingoja hapa utume ma CV, mtu wangu, mtu angalie CV, itakuwa noma. Talk of a will with mzee and he'll be like, unapanga kutumaliza. Ni ukweli by the way. Wazee ukianza kuongea nao about will wanaonaga ni kama unapanga kuwaua uchukue vitu. How is it St. Louis, Missouri? Oh, Missouri kuna baridi by the way. Missouri kuna Wakenya wengi St. Louis. St. Louis niko na mabeshte kadhaa wanaishi St. Louis, Missouri. Missouri, yeah. St. Louis sio mbaya, sio city mbaya. Wanapata ka snow but si kama ka Minnesota. Si kama ka Minnesota. Mjomba ni aje? Please tell me, do you need to show money in cash at the airport when coming? Not necessarily. Sengine wanaweza kuuliza how utajisupport. But hey man, unless wamekushuku sana ndio wanakuuliza story ya nini. Unless wanakushuku sana ndio wanakuuliza ati you show cash. Yeah. But yeah. Obviously ni poa ukuwe na nini, jinsi utajisupport. Mjomba ni aje? Network imepotea. Ngoja. I think sijui kama nini. Ni aje mjomba?
Poa sana, unanisikia?
Nakusikia saa hii.
Nasema acha nikaa hapa juu ni warm up kidogo. Nikimjibu watu kwa comment section huko chini.
Wacha hata mimi I think wacha nimalize nini yangu ya hii nini ya YouTube hapa hivi. I think hata
uko live YouTube?
Nilikuwa live YouTube.
Kwa nini hata sikufikiria wewe ukiangalia left hivyo uko live YouTube? Okay, wacha mimi najibu watu comment section alafu wewe tu endelea tu mpaka umalize.
Wacha ni nini ya juu I think hata picha yangu imepotea, sijui kwa nini imepotea. Wacha ni wacha nipotelee watu wangu. Thank you man for joining me. Sijui kwa nini imejizima, but otherwise I think ile video ingine ya coldest na warmest months nitafanya baadaye. Haya, fiti watu wangu.